Welcome to the Sincerely God podcast. I'm Sarah, and I believe that God is speaking to all of us all the time and in many different ways. The primary way that I listen is through two-way journaling. And on this podcast, I share excerpts from my journaling time with God, which are really inspirational messages spoken from the perspective of God to you. I'll talk more about what two-way journaling is and explore other methods which may be helpful for you to listen to God in your own unique way. I'm just an ordinary person who gets to hear from an extraordinary God, and I believe you can too. Thanks for joining. Hi everyone. So it's back to just me for the episode today, but before I jump into the journaling excerpt that I want to share, I want to just give you kind of a sneak peek, a heads up that I'm actually working on something that I'm going to offer to you guys hopefully within the next couple weeks. It's going to be an e-course, a virtual course that you can kind of go deeper in. So I'm actually setting up to record, obviously, the episode today, but also start recording some of those sessions. So I'm really, really excited to just give you something that you can kind of go deeper in. So just stay tuned. I will obviously share more once it's ready, and just I'm excited to share with you guys. So today, the excerpt that I'm going to share is from July of 2018. This is what it says. "Oh, my child, how precious you are in my sight. How wonderful are my thoughts towards you. Look how you have grown. Look at how you trust me and speak about my goodness. You are precious in my sight. Yes, I long to give you every good and perfect gift. I have such wonderful plans for you, my daughter. Come to me and receive my good gifts. Receive my precious treasures I have long prepared for you. Yes, I have prepared many special gifts for you, my beloved child. Come to me and receive. Receive all I have prepared. Take in this banquet table, all set and prepared with every delicacy under the sun. Yes, I have prepared a great feast in your honor. A great multitude will share in your supper celebration. Many will come to know me because of your words. Many will call on my name because of the works you do in my name. Yes, my child, I have many gifts planned for you. I have many great works I intend to do through you as my hands and feet and mouthpiece. No, you did not miss anything important today. You received and shared as I intended. Continue on your way. Keep moving along your set path. Do not veer to the right or to the left. Keep your gaze fixed ahead upon your prize. I am your prize and I am all you need. I will give you many wonderful blessings, but they are only a reflection of my love. Do not lose sight of me and do not wander from the path I have set before you. I desire to give you many perfect gifts. Remember that every perfect gift comes from above. It comes from the Father of lights. You are the Father's light shining in this dark world. Shine brightly, my child, shine extravagantly, and do not make excuses for your bright light pouring out around you. No, do not hold back, cover up, or take down this beacon of light. Hold it high and call others to receive their own light. We will light up this dark world so not a speck of darkness remains. Yes, my child, we will transform the night into day and darkness into light." So first, I just love how he is calling me, his precious child. And everything that he says in this word to me, I believe applies to every one of us, every person that he loves, every person that he calls his child. And, he calls us precious. He has wonderful thoughts towards us. Like, if you've ever encountered a parent who is just so in love with their child and they're so proud of their child and they want everybody to just see how amazing, especially like when somebody has a new baby. I think that's often the case of just they're enthralled with this new beautiful child that they love so much. And that, to me, that's God's love for all of us. And if we can actually take a moment and recognize that we have this loving Father, this loving parent, this, God who views us as the most perfect child that he has and that love that he has for us. And so being able to realize that and receive love in that way and in a way see ourselves through his eyes, see ourselves as that beautiful child that he just has so many wonderful thoughts towards. Just remembering that. And I think it's hard for us if, for those who maybe haven't had the best relationship with their father or with their parents, and it's hard to picture with, we talk about God being a father, sometimes that brings negative connotations. But if you can picture, whether that's in a movie or a friend somebody that you came across, or even just in your own mind how you would desire it to be, picture that perfect parent, that perfect father who loves their child so much. That's God's love for us as a father. And then he says, I long to give you every good and perfect gift. And that goes along with, I think, that theme of just having a child that you so adore, that you want that child to have everything that they desire. You want everything that's best for that child. That's how he views us as well. And so he longs to give us these good gifts. He longs to pour out his love in these tangible ways that we can see as a reflection. He talks about this is just a reflection of God's love for us, and to not lose the ultimate prize, the ultimate connection, the ultimate importance of God and our relationship with God, and that interaction that we have with God, not lose that by focusing on the gifts, but recognizing that every good gift that we receive is a reflection of God's love, is a reflection of what God desires for us. And that's why, it's okay to ask. It's okay to ask for good gifts. And yeah, sometimes God knows what's better for us. And sometimes that gift that we're longing for, we might have this deep desire in our heart, and the way that we identify it, the way that we think that it can be fulfilled is in a particular way. And that could be based on our own limited understanding, but God sees that deep desire. He knows what's underneath each request that we make. And so sometimes the gift itself is going to look different than what we had in mind, but that's because he knows what's better. He knows what's best for us. And God desires our best, and he desires to give us these good gifts. So I think it is important to ask, but ask in a way that's open to say, God, I want you to recognize what is the deep desire within me. I want you to recognize what's this need that is bubbling up in this way that I desire such and such thing. And so to be open for God to, number one, to give and to respond, and to respond out of his love for us, but to be open to however God desires to actually answer that request, to present the answer to that deepest desire. And I think sometimes it looks different, but oftentimes, at least in my own life, what's different is the preparation beforehand. I think, we live in a society that's very immediate, right? We can go through a drive-through, we can, look up the answer to our question online. There's everything that we live in today, we want this, we get it immediately. But there's a lot of process. I mean, I've said this before, God is a God of process. And there's a preparation that takes place in that process and in that perhaps waiting period. And so I've experienced in my own life that, yes, sometimes the gift itself looks different than what I asked for or what I had pictured in my mind. But most often it's a timing thing where there's a delay between the time that I maybe ask for it or recognize this desire in my own heart and to when it's actually given. And in that waiting period, really what's happening is a preparation. There's a growth that's happening in me. And sometimes that growth is just because I need to live my life. I need to step through certain scenarios and grow and just experience, in a lot of ways. And sometimes it's that waiting period itself. It's like the act of waiting and trusting and kind of almost in a way having to allow my faith to be built during that period of time. That is the preparation itself. God has spoken to me about that, I would say recently, in a waiting period that I've been in, of just him saying, the waiting is the becoming. I am becoming more like God. I'm becoming more into that ultimate version of myself that God desires for me. And I'm actually becoming that by the waiting itself. I think, what God was telling me was God waits. God doesn't always do things immediately. He knows what is best. And that requires patience, right? One of the fruit of the Spirit is patience. And so when we're in a waiting period, there is a becoming process that's happening. There's a growth, a preparation. And all of that, I think, is for ultimately when we can receive that good gift, that answer, the response to what we've requested or what we've had in our heart, that we're actually able to receive it in full. We're able to experience it in full. We're able to enjoy the gift on a whole different level than if we had received it immediately. And I mean, if you're a parent, I'm not a parent, but I have parents in my life, that you can see that, right? A good parent doesn't always immediately gratify their child, right? They're teaching their child patience, or they're giving time and space and allowing a growth to occur, maturing to occur in that child before they're actually ready to receive that gift. So likewise, as God is a good father, he's going to sometimes wait to give us what he wants to give us because he wants us to be able to handle it. I think sometimes you can look at some famous people that maybe they got all of their success at a young age, and often you see that even as they have gotten older, they haven't actually matured. And in some ways, they don't handle the success that they've been given, the money, the fame, all of those things, as well as they could have if perhaps they had matured more before hitting that success and basically being given that gift. So just something that I think I'm still in the process of learning in my own life, of recognizing that God knows best, God desires our best, and sometimes in that it looks a little different than maybe what we think we want on the surface. And a lot of that is part of just a waiting period. But I mean, just what he's saying here, come to me, receive my good gifts, receive my precious treasures I have long prepared for you. I prepared many special gifts, receive all I have prepared. And so just remembering, like sometimes if something doesn't seem to be happening right away, or if it seems like a gift is being withheld from you, it's not that God is being cruel or doesn't have gifts that he wants to give you. Like there's so many gifts that he has prepared for each of us. And that preparation, like there's a preparation in us, but there's also a preparation in the gift itself. I think that can happen a lot when it comes to people, right? Maybe you are praying for a relationship to be healed. Maybe there's a family member that there's been difficulty with. Like there's a preparation that's happening in that person as well. And especially when it has to do with people, I mean, I think there's preparation that can happen in so many different ways. But from a person perspective, right, we have free will. We make our own decisions. And God is absolutely super involved in our day-to-day lives, including people that we see that maybe aren't connected regularly with God. He's still working in their lives. He's bringing people around them. He's allowing circumstances to take place to help grow that person, prepare that person, but ultimately they're making their own decisions. And so often when we're in a space that we're asking for a gift, we're believing for, we have a heart's desire for a gift that's related to a person, definitely we need to recognize that God has his own preparation work to do in that person. And often that requires even more patience because they're making their own decisions as well. But even unrelated to a specific person, just in life, right? There's things that, if you think about what are the best things that you've experienced in life, even just like what's the best meal? Usually the best meals are the ones that take the longest to prepare, right? There's value there. There are just things that only come with an investment of time. And so I think the same is true for the good gifts that God gives us in our own lives, that there is an investment of time that he puts into that. And so he's preparing those gifts to give us, and he's preparing us to receive those gifts. And then he shares with me about things that he intends to do through me, that I'm his hands and feet and mouthpiece. And I think there are certain aspects of that perhaps is specifically he's referring to me and to my specific life and plans that he has for me. But he has plans for every single one of us. And those look different, right? We all have different giftings, just different ways that he's created us. But he has plans for all of us, and he wants to do incredible things through each of us. And those gifts are for us, and they're for the world around us, right? Like there are things that I'm going to receive in my life that are for my own benefit, but they are also for the benefit of others. Even like with this podcast, right? I'm sharing these excerpts of words that God, messages that God has shared with me, and those were 100% for me. They were gifts to me. Everything that he spoke, where it was for me to receive, to encourage me, to guide me, and all of that. But at the same time, they're also gifts for me to share with others. And whether that's just my close friends and family, or sharing, on this podcast with you, wherever you happen to be in this world, so many things in our life, they're both and, right? He doesn't just give us a gift for one purpose. He gives us a gift for multiple purposes. And so much of what he's doing in us is also to be done through us and to be shared. And so I just encourage you, recognize that God has amazing plans for you, and those plans are for your best, and they're also plans for the best of the world, the best of your area of influence, that, what I would say is your world, right? We each have our own quote unquote world that we live in, that we interact in day to day. And so it's for you and it's for others. So be open to how God wants to use you. And even I think there's sometimes we can be put in a situation where maybe we feel like this is specifically for another person, right? I'm giving in this way. All of this is 100% for others. But how many times do we go into a situation with that in mind, and yet we feel blessed as a result, that we think, hey, I'm going to step into this, I'm going to mentor this person, or I'm going to share help with this person because it's purely to help them. But then so often we get blessed in the process. We get a gift in the process as well that we weren't expecting. So I think that's probably 99% of the time how God operates, how we live in this life, is there should be this both and, where it's not either or. Either I'm going to help this person or I'm going to help myself. Either I'm going to do for others or I'm going to benefit myself. Like, no, the beautiful way that we are intended to live our lives is that both are true. Both we help others and we receive for ourselves. But just remembering that you have a unique purpose, you have a unique path, you have prepared plans, ways that God wants to bless you, ways that God wants to give you good gifts, and ways that God wants to use you to share his love with the world around you. And the part that he ends with is just talking about shining his light. He says, these perfect gifts, they come from the Father of lights, the Father of lights, the Father of me, the Father of you. We are lights in this dark world. Like, you can't look around this world and not see darkness, to not see negativity, to not see hard things. And yet we're intended to bring light. And that light isn't purely under our own strength, our own power, our own gifts and abilities. Like, no, that light is coming from God. It's coming from that pure, true part of ourselves, which is connected to God, which is where that source of light and love and goodness comes from. And so we're intended to walk through this world not being afraid of the darkness, not closing ourselves off from never stepping into a negative situation or experiencing a difficulty in this life. I mean, we live in this world, we're going to see that, but to step into that knowing that we carry the light, that we carry love, and that when we step into a space, we bring that light with us, we bring that love with us. And so just like a light lights up a dark space, that's how we're intended to go through this world. There's that, I don't know if you call it a riddle or something, where, say, okay, you've got to call it a 10 by 10 foot room and you can have one object. How do you fill that room? And, I remember when I first heard it, I was like, well, maybe a hose to fill it with water. But no, all you need is a light. A lit match will light up an entire room. And that's the power that we hold in us. You are a light to the world around you. And when I say light, it's God's love. You are love to the world around you. Wherever you go, you bring light. Wherever you go, you bring love. And you have the ability to transform the atmosphere around you, to transform the world around you. And maybe you don't always see the effects of that transformation, right? Oftentimes, when light is brought into a dark space, it reveals things. And so often, the immediate response we get from somebody who's maybe in a dark space or a situation, or maybe it's a work environment, a culture that is in a dark space, you bring that light. And sometimes bringing love into a situation that is full of darkness and hate and all of these things, the immediate response is to reject, because that light is revealing what's underneath. That light is revealing what's been hidden. But ultimately, it's good. You have to reveal sometimes in order for that healing to take place, in order for that transformation to take place. So I guess I just encourage you, like, you're not always going to see the results of the light that you bring, but don't forget that you bring the light. And don't let the darkness overtake you. Don't let the negativity of others overtake you, because your source of light is within. Your source of light is your connection to God. And when you're feeling maybe depleted, when you're feeling like that negativity, that darkness, that hate, that difficulty is just overwhelming you, get into God's presence, whatever that looks like for you, right? I've talked about stillness, and that stillness can look a lot of different ways, but ultimately it's, when do you feel most connected to God? When do you feel most connected to the purest, truest, most authentic part of you? When do you feel joy? Joy, not just happiness, just, I don't know, an artificial version of that, but true joy that comes within, joy that kind of can't be taken away because it's coming from within you. When do you feel that most? I know for me, I need to remind myself of this when I'm having a hard time. If I'm finding myself in like a negative, maybe headspace, I have a lot of running thoughts, maybe kind of an anxiety type space, or just I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling depressed, whatever that may be, when I'm kind of feeling that negative in my own life, I have to remember, okay, what are the ways that I can basically bask in God's light, right? Like, it's kind of like you think about something that's glow in the dark, right? It has to have time in the light before it will glow in the dark. And so just like you, not that you're going to like glow in the dark, but I guess in a way you're going to glow in the dark, right? We're the light in the dark place, but you need time. You need time to soak up that light. You need time to soak up that love. So make sure you're building rhythms into your own life to do that regularly, because we're going to hit darkness all around us. We're going to hit difficulty all around us. And so we need to keep replenishing and soaking in and just clearing out that connection that we have with God so that it's constantly flowing through us. So for me, definitely worship music, Christian kind of worship type music, or just, it doesn't have to be exactly worship, but positive music that kind of builds me up and just puts me in that space. I am a more introverted, stillness for me often looks still, but that could be, going for a walk in nature, some just kind of spiritual gifts that I have. Certainly journaling is a major way that I am able to kind of soak in that space. But whatever that looks like for you, when you're feeling that negative overwhelm, let it be a trigger, a reminder of, hey, I need to get back into God's presence. I need to get back into my unique stillness practice so that you can be refilled and that you can continue to be that light in the dark space. Because the brighter you are, the more you recognize the light that is in you, the love that is in you, the more that each of us do that, then the brighter the entire world is going to be. The more of us who can shine, like, we're all going to have an impact on our mini worlds around us, and those are going to overlap and combine, and ultimately we're going to make this world a brighter space. If you think about like a dark room, a dark house, right? The more lights that you turn on, the brighter the entire space is going to be. So I just encourage you, recognize that you are a precious child of God and that your Father in heaven wants to give you beautiful gifts, precious gifts, and so much so that he's spending all of his time preparing those gifts for you and preparing you for those gifts, and that he has plans for you, that he intends to give you gifts for your own benefit, but also for the benefit of everyone around you, the world that's around you, and that you are a light shining in a dark space. And so make sure you spend your time soaking in that light so that you can be that light to the world around you. And even if you can't see it in the immediate, know that you are having an impact, that you are making the world a better place just by being you, just by shining your light in your unique way. So keep shining, and until next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Sincerely God podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends. If you'd like more information, you can go to my website, sincerelygodquotes.com. There you'll find links to my social media, as well as an ability to get your own copy of Sincerely God, a collection of quotes, either the book or the prayer journal. Until next time, keep listening to how God is speaking to you.
It's all inside you, waiting to